This week on the T4L Book Club.
So you've written a book, The Power of Purpose. What actually led you to even think about writing this book? And if you can tell me any stories of what can I do if I feel like I don't know what my purpose is?
So purpose, people of today's age don't really feel fulfilled. And the reason is because they have forgotten when they go to work, it's not just about a paycheck. They need to really know, is it giving them joy? We belong to the rat race. Simply because, like I say, when we are on a highway, we forget to apply brakes. We must apply brakes, try and ascertain where are we and where are we headed. Be open to change. Have a growth mindset. Wherever you are today, if you know tomorrow is going to be different for you and you really want to be there, then make it happen.
So you have a background in technology, and we know that technology is changing the landscape, not only across the world, but across the continent. What is the connection between technology and amplifying your voice? But how does one actually use technology today?
Please go and let AI, let technology be your friend.
Yeah.
You can't really reinvent the wheel. You can't really do it by standing at a square. Gone are the days, right? So you do need to be on the digital space, on digital platforms, not to forget who is the leading generation in numbers, Gen Zs.
So when you think about like society and how it's structured, do you feel like it's aiding us finding purpose or it's distracting us from our purpose, and why?
Personally, if I'm not biased, I'll say it is distracting us. The reason is we are very busy mimicking others. We just want to do what the next person is doing and probably try to be better. But in that, we actually lose our purpose, our path. We always try to find joy in others, but joy in ourselves is the most important if you really want to know your purpose.
The T4L Book Club, amplifying African leadership. Join us as we engage with thought leaders to uncover bold solutions for Africa's unique challenges.
Hello and welcome to T4L Book Club. Today I'm joined by Dr. Anu here in Nairobi, Kenya. Dr. Anu, please introduce yourself to our viewers at home.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Yes, I'm Dr. Anu. That's how people know me. The name is very long, Anuradha Khoda. I'll simply say I'm a teacher. I've been a teacher and a leader for very long, and finally I've now started training other leaders. That's who I am. I'm writing books. I'm a trainer, I'm a coach. Ask me questions and I shall answer.
Awesome. So I'm glad that you said that because we have some rapid fire questions. At T4L Book Club, we don't want to take ourselves too seriously, but after that, we're going to dive right into your book.
Okay.
So first question is, what is your go-to productivity hack?
Right. Sit down, silence yourself. And once you know where you are and where you want to go, that's when the path is clear. So that's my hack.
Awesome. Early bird or night owl?
Oh, early bird, man. Don't ask me the time because it does not match today's generation or Gen Z. Yes, but definitely early bird.
Okay, awesome. If you would have dinner with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
Okay.
So we can judge you.
Okay. So one, I think I'll be biased and I'll say my mom. She's my role model. Oprah Winfrey.
Good one.
And Michelle Obama.
Also, I was like, Michelle, why did you run for president? All right. Yes. What's the most unconventional piece of advice you've received?
Okay. So what do you really like to be? An author or a homemaker? And can you choose one? And I simply can't choose between the two because I'm best at both.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. What's one book that changed your perspective on leadership?
Okay, so I could pick on a book, but I think I'll rather go with a scholar and I'll say Simon Sinek.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yes. That's a really good one. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
I could have guessed that one with the cappuccino. If you could switch careers for a day, what would you do?
Wow. I think I would be, I'm a meditation coach.
Okay.
Because that is something very difficult for me to attain these days.
Okay.
And if I can coach others, then I think it'll even come to me.
Okay, awesome. Alrighty. What's your favorite hidden hobby or talent that very few people know about you?
Talking to plants,
Okay.
Yes.
That's really good for the plants as well, hey?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yes. They were my best friends when I was at a low ebb. And then also perceiving what birds are saying.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Okay. If you had a time machine, would you go forward or would you go back?
I think forward. Because
Okay.
I've already lived what I needed to. I've evolved, I have learned. So yeah.
Yeah, so the past is the past now.
Absolutely.
All right. What's that one word that you think should be banned from leadership?
Control.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Okay. What's the last thing you Googled?
Wow. I think I snooped for you and your presence, so that must be the thing.
Okay. I hope it was okay.
So far, yes.
Okay. And then what's your superpower when it comes to leadership?
Connecting with people of all ages and trying to get the best out of them.
Okay.
That's my superpower.
Okay, awesome. So let's actually get cracking into this. You have written a couple of books, and in T4L, we talk about transformational leadership, and we really believe in impacting 1 million African lives by 2026.
Nice. Okay.
So because you are sitting here, you are now part of that journey of helping us impact 1 million lives. So thank you. Alrighty, so you've written a book, The Power of Purpose. And I think that that's actually resonates not only for me personally, but I think on the continent. A lot of people feel aimless. A lot of people actually feel depressed living at work. And I think it's because they don't actually have a purpose or found a purpose. What actually led you to even think about writing this book? And if you can tell me any stories of what can I do if I feel like I don't know what my purpose is? What tools can I use? What can I leverage? Yeah.
Good question. So yes, I'll pick on whatever pieces come together. So purpose. People of today's age don't really feel fulfilled. And the reason is because they have forgotten when they go to work, it's not just about a paycheck. They need to really know, is it giving them joy? Sometimes a paycheck comes and before it actually goes into the bank, we already spent it. So we are looking for the next. We belong to the rat race. Simply because, like I say, when we are on a highway, we forget to apply brakes. We must apply brakes, try and ascertain where are we and where are we headed. When did this book come to be? I was also facing a crisis some years back, and I can say it resonated with COVID-19. So I, being a researcher, being an academic, that's exactly what I did. And I started realizing it's not just me alone. Yes, COVID-19 came. But as it is, every human faces lack of purpose, the void in your life at some stage in life. So when I started reading, I started associating others to it, I thought, let me just document it. It might just impact people and they might find their answer in the book. So that's how it came to be.
So when you think about like society and how it's structured, do you feel like it's aiding us finding purpose or it's distracting us from our purpose, and why?
Personally, if I'm not biased, I'll say it is distracting us. The reason is we are very busy mimicking others, whichever culture. No pointing fingers. We just want to do what the next person is doing and probably try to be better. But in that, we actually lose our purpose, our path. So that's what I can say. Yes, it is distracting. If we do not want to be there, then we need to know how to be our own friend. We always try to find joy in others, but joy in ourselves is the most important if you really want to know your purpose. Did I answer all your questions?
Yes, you did. So I have a follow-up question on that. You know, we see statistics around people being lonely, a higher rate of suicide. How does that then form that need of like connection and purpose? And is it together? Like, do you need purpose and connection, or is purpose and connection two separate things? How do you feel like that plays?
So I think I'll pick on what you said before. Yes, people do feel lonely. And very recently, I read on something which was saying there's a difference being alone and lonely.
Yes.
So most importantly, you really need to enjoy your own company. You need to be alone and you need to see how you can entertain yourself, how you can really give yourself joy. If you can master that, then loneliness will not really come, because loneliness is lack of people around you, lack of activity. So that's why I said, yes, the loneliness will not come to you. The second part was?
Connectivity.
Yes. So connectivity, I would say two ways.
Okay.
One, you must be able to connect to your higher power, whichever higher power you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely say it is God.
Mm-hmm.
Others call it all sorts of names.
Yeah.
If you know there's a controlling power and you have a true connection, there are no hurdles, there are no bumps, and there are no potholes, then you know that you're grounded. You must be grounded. And then once you have that, then you must be able to connect with your own self. This is me. These are my values. Once you know this is my value and this is what I'm doing, then the purpose is not very far to find.
Thank you for that. So the question that I want to know is, I am maybe a teenager, a young person, and I want to now find my purpose. I'm feeling like you described, empty. Maybe you're frustrated at work and you just don't understand why. What can someone actually start to do to maybe find their purpose?
So I would again say what I said before. You must apply breaks. So if you continue to do the same rigmarole, the same activity every day, you will not really realize that you're moving away from your destination, away from your purpose. A holiday is a good thing to start with. A holiday does not really mean going with a group of friends and, staying up the whole night. Yes, some people love to do that. Let it be, but not for this specific reason. So in this case, you need to be alone. You need to really self-reflect. And if you're able to do it, then definitely the age is not a barrier. You'll have already gotten your connection within yourself, and you will know what I'm doing every day. Does it resonate with what gives me joy? Because your core values are what really make you grow. That is what gives you joy. That's what really makes you wake up every single day.
So I saw that you have over 3 decades of experience.
Let me hide the gray hair before you continue.
Okay. But with that, do you feel like your purpose was the same, or did it change throughout, different seasons of your life?
Yes, I do get asked that question pretty often. And what I say is, as you evolve through knowledge, learning, observation, your purpose does evolve. Bottom line, when I was introducing myself to you, I said I'm a teacher. It doesn't mean I am affiliated to a school or a university. A teacher is somebody who is really spreading knowledge. So I know that is exactly my purpose. There was a time I was teaching at a high school. I did lecture at a university. I have also taught up to postgraduate level. And now I am teaching people of all ages, those who are aspiring to be thought leaders, those who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs. So basically, purpose does evolve. But the bottom line is that is what gives me joy. And last, I'll just say by ending this, I am in my element either as a student or as a teacher. So that's my purpose. It gives me joy.
That's awesome. In the Thought Leaders Code, you present 5 steps of the blueprint. So could you walk us through these steps and explain how we can apply them as emerging leaders?
Okay. So probably I'll take you the way I've coined it away from the book when I'm training. I give it a 5P framework. So I can say the first one is for sure purpose. Discover yourself. That's what also the first step in the book is. Once you know your purpose, then you need to know what is your positioning. What is it that you really want to do? Where do you position yourself? Beyond that, try to get to know whom are you really serving. So you start building your profile or your brand. Go on and see how are you publicizing or announcing your brand. And finally, are you really going to leave permanence? Meaning, are you going to leave a legacy? So these are, in short, the 5 stages. And definitely not to forget, IT is my world. So I do bring it in and I say, you cannot stay away from IT if you want to leave permanence and if you want to announce it to the world. Yes.
Okay, that's awesome. So do you see a connection between thought leaders having a clear personal mission? And can one exist without the other, between that connection between the thought leadership and also having that personal mission?
Okay. So I think I need to say who is a thought leader as per my understanding. So this is not just a leader, because a leader could have followers, could be a leader because of the corporate positioning. But when I say thought leader, you're the go-to person. If I want to know somebody around here, while we are recording the podcast, who is the go-to person if we have any troubleshooting to do? So For that instance, that person is a thought leader. When I speak about Oprah, when I speak about Michelle Obama, those are the thought leaders for me. So again, coming back to your question.
Thought leadership versus a clear personal mission.
Absolutely. So a thought leader is self-made.
Okay.
Intentionally.
Okay.
So you must have a very clear mission and vision. You must have a very broad vision. That's when you become the shepherd and your sheep will follow you.
Okay.
Yes.
I like that. So you have a background in technology, and we know that technology is changing the landscape, not only across the world, but across the continent. We know that we have more than 460 million people that need to have digitalization and skills, upskilling in that space. What is the connection between technology and amplifying your voice? Because I feel like you touched on that previously of you need to use technology, but how does one actually use technology today?
Okay, so I think for a thought leader, you must be able to speak either by writing or say recording your podcast, a video. So you do need content. For you to create content, please go and let AI, let technology be your friend.
Yeah.
You can't really reinvent the wheel. So that's where I would say a thought leader should start being friends with tech and then announcing it, spreading it. You can't really do it by standing at a square. Gone are the days, right? So you do need to be on the digital space, on digital platforms, not to forget who is the leading generation in numbers. Gen Zs, how are we going to reach them? They are always on one platform or the other. So we need to reach them through the digital platforms.
Do you think that because of, in many ways, technology has made the world easier, but what do you think are the challenges based on this specific example that you gave compared to back in the day in terms of spreading and impacting lives? Do you think that it's harder now, or do you actually think it's easier due to technology?
So there is a balance that is needed.
Okay.
I wouldn't really say in clear terms that it is harder or it is easier.
Okay.
Because if you're not tech savvy, then but naturally it's very difficult for you and you're scared of even going into that space.
Yeah.
It's easier, yes, but it also gets harder because of piracy, because of people trying to take your thoughts and remixing and coming up with exactly.
Yeah. So
I
looked really at what Dr. Anu did. Now it's okay. Yeah.
I mean, we are presenting on webinars, people are recording. By the time a month has gone, you might just hear somebody else presenting the same as their own. So yes, there's a balance that's needed. So it's both easy and difficult. Yes, it's really your perception.
Okay.
Is your job draining the life out of you? Maybe it's time to take back control. Are you struggling to survive the chaos of a toxic workplace? This course gives you real practical strategies to reclaim your peace and your productivity. You'll learn how to set clear boundaries and protect your mental well-being. Plus, you'll get the tools to handle the drama and build a positive, resilient mindset. All for just $12.99 at t4leader.com.
So you also do coaching, as you mentioned, you're a teacher. When you're teaching your students, what is the main or common challenges that people face in their journey of finding their purpose or becoming a thought leader?
So there are quite a few challenges.
Okay.
And if I was to name a couple of them, one definitely is going to a teacher or a coach for solutions. Remember, they are only going to handhold you. They will open you up to solutions. It is for you to really implement and have faith in the solution that is coming out. One, you have to admit that I do need a solution. So that's the first point. Once you've acknowledged and admitted, then let the journey unfold and have faith in it and continue. So those are the challenges. If you try to hold it back, then definitely it's a challenge. If you go by it, then it's going to be very easy for you.
So you mean people need to be more open to the process, more trusting,
to change, to transformation.
Okay,
absolutely.
alrighty.
Yes.
And then what would you say is the main difference between coaching and a mentor? I think that some people get confused, I need a mentor, but actually you need a coach for that and vice versa. Could you maybe explain that to some of our viewers?
So I think I would say a mentor can be at specific times, specific stages in your life. Mentors can change. A coach will be with you for a period of time. It's a journey. It's a guided journey. So that is the main difference between mentor and a coach.
Okay, awesome. So leadership involves tough decisions and resilience. So what would you recommend leaders in order to stay true to their purpose when they're faced in challenge, especially in the corporate setting, right? Where you might feel like the conflicting, your values and what the mission of the organization may be conflicting. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, it's again a thin line. But what I would say is if a leader knows his or her values, the decisions become easier because even if you're contradicting your peers or your superiors or your team, you know you'll hold on to the values because your decision is going to be backed by that. Yes. So knowing your values, your personal values, and living by them is definitely very necessary.
So how much does bravery actually play in terms of being a leader? And the reason I ask that is because I think sometimes when we think about making hard decisions or going against the crowd, I almost feel like human nature is actually not to go against the crowd and like, oh, if I, do that, I'm going to be hungry and starved and a lion's going to eat me. So how much do you think courage plays? And if you don't have courage, do you have any advice on how you can maybe cultivate some courage?
Yeah, so I think I'll say bravery is again something, part of it comes natural, but you need to build it. How do you really build on it? Authenticity. Once you know your values, you know your purpose, and you can remain true to your values, then bravery will come because you'll take a decision today. There'll be very many against you, but the final analysis, you'll be able to prove that this is the reason I took the decision. Because that was my personal values. At the same time, values, say corporate values, corporate mission and vision. So if you can pass that once, then the second decision will be easier because your followers, your team already knows this is where your decision lies. These are the boundaries, and this is the reason why you take. So when it comes to bravery, bravery will only come when you know you are living an authentic leadership journey.
I like the comment around authentic leadership journey. I think, when you said earlier on that our society is kind of broken because we're mimicking,
Absolutely.
right? We're just copying. So therefore, who's the authentic self? Because it's a copy of somebody else. Do you think that that's more prevalent in younger generations versus older generations? Or is it more like a blanket statement of like, as humans, we have messed up ourselves?
So let me not say as humans we have messed ourselves, but all the same, yes. I think in the younger generation it is more. Why? Because it's a sorry state. We really don't have parents with us these days. If I'm to look at the younger generation, parents are very busy either rising up the corporate ladder or trying to bring home the best for the kids. So they're missing parents. If the kids don't have parents next to them, then who is leading them? It's their peers, it's the media, it's the other culture. So that's what let's see what you pick from what I said.
So when you're talking about the media, then would you recommend parents monitor what their children consume? Or are you saying no TV, no, YouTube, no Netflix? We're just reading these books that are prescribed to you and you're playing outside. Like, what do you feel the solution is for that?
I think the solution is from the missing parent, be a present parent. Then the TV doesn't matter, the YouTube doesn't matter, because there'll be time when your kids are watching and you'll be able to discuss it with them and you will make them understand what is good and what is bad. But if you leave them to be, then surely they are the judge.
Wow. How do you feel like, and I think maybe I want to speak specifically to your experience of being, a homemaker and a corporate person. And I think people talk about this a lot, I'm sure. But what advice do you have for like young working moms who maybe want to be more present, but also are very ambitious and they want to be the next CEO of, and signing the big checks?
True.
Like, do you think that is it realistic to say they can have both? Or is it one of the things where you need to make calculated decisions on how you can maybe navigate that? And in your own experience, like what did you do that helped you get to where you are?
It's a very good question because, again, it's a very practical thing that every woman would really want an answer to. And you answered it partially by saying, is it a calculated decision? Yes, it is. Because I think you can definitely, let me retract and say, retrace my words and say, the answer lies in boundaries.
Okay.
If you know your boundary, that these are the number of years I want to really do XYZ and I want to rise. Yes, there's some bit that I'm losing at home, but remember that you have to come and catch up. At the same time, in a year, tell yourself how many weeks can I actually take off to spend that with my family? Because after all, you're a homemaker. That is who you are at your core. You're a mother. And if you really do want to be a good mother, then the boundaries are definitely needed. So it is for you to calculate the decision and say, what am I going to lose if I continue really just being for my company? What am I going to lose if I just remain at home and I'm not able to provide for my kids? The balance lies within your hands. And it is not that it's not possible for you to get. You definitely can make the right decision, provided you give yourself that self-reflection time.
Okay. Do you have any recommendations then for like the CEO that's running the business, that's trying to make, equitable policies for their team so that they can allow for like, young mothers or mothers who are in more experience or soon to be mothers versus the young male counterparts? Like, how do you think that looks like if you had a wand and you could make this perfect world?
Yeah, so I think let's look at the corporate world to be a family.
Okay.
Right? So the older ones who've already gone through this, they should handhold the younger ones.
Okay.
Right? Just like at a uni, we will have the older ones shadowing the younger. Number two, the older ones already have experience. So let's say they are planning on some team holidays. Why not have them as family holidays? Let the kids come, provide for their engagement so that the mother can feel closer. The kids can also see what the mom is doing, how hard she's working. So they start appreciating rather than grumbling that she's not around. Yes. So those are some of the things. And then you also asked about the male counterpart. Something which is away from here, but I'll probably mention. Yesterday, we had a family outing. And unfortunately, at one of the tables, we saw one of the younger women crying bitterly. The reason could be any, but my perception was the poor lady is going through menopause.
Oh, wow.
So it's for the male counterpart now to understand what does a female really go through. And it's all to do with understanding, admitting that I do want to learn, and then being able to help. Similarly, that woman who is already there at the hem of it, they need to now start educating the younger ones. This is what the life stages are about. This is how it will be. And let's try to make life easier for you. I don't know if I took you very far away from
that was great. I actually was feeling really sad for the lady who is crying.
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen Forbes, McKinsey, all talking about Gen Zs are getting fired by the droves. They don't care about them anymore. If they don't work, they're gone. What is your take on that? Because, I don't know if I prescribe specifically to the concept that Gen Zs are lazy, but that is kind of like the rhetoric that we're seeing, that they're lazy, they don't know work. Millennials and Gen Zs are too soft. They don't have grit, they don't have stamina compared to the older generation. What is genuinely what is your take, and what is your response to people on either side of the coin, basically?
So during elections, if there were two presidents, one was to elect, one by and for Gen Zs and one for the other, I would want to be the president for the Gen Zs. I'm always for them. I don't think they're lazy. I don't think they lack anything apart from guidance from whom they really look up to. And remember I said absent parents?
Yeah.
Exactly. So the parents are absent due to whatever reason. And then by the time they're coming back and these kids have grown up, you say, oh no, that's not my son, my friend. But they're not looking for friends. They have enough friends on the screen, social media, virtual world. They are actually looking for mentors in you. They are looking for parents in you. I love the Gen Z. I mean, I try to to employ freelance Gen Zs very many times. Yes, they have not learned to be accountable. I need to know how to really run according to their time schedule. But it's for us to really lead them. So I love the Gen Zs. I'll never be against them.
I love how you're like, they need a little accountability a little bit. It's a 9 to 5. It's not a whenever you feel like it.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not a 9 to 5, their timings are very different, provided they know this is my project and I have to make sure I achieve the milestone. That's fine. Give them the leeway, work with them, work around them, and bring them to you rather than alienating them. As it is, they do feel alienated.
Okay.
Yeah. They I mean, that's why you always find them facing the screen, because that's the world that does not judge them. We are always judging them. So how about we stop judging them and try to understand them and bring them closer? They need us.
So do you think that the state of leadership, let's say we're now at the UN and we're looking across, it's like, what is the state of leadership? Not only in the home, because I think this leadership also plays a function at home, but like in government and at work, like what is the state of leadership? You're giving us a score out of 10. What is that score?
Okay, so rather than scoring, this is what I'll say.
Okay.
Can we have a mix of generations in leadership? Rather than saying it's only above 80s who can be leading? I mean, when will those poor Gen Zs come up? And they have so much to teach us.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say. In leadership, can we really have cross-generational leadership where one generation is teaching the other? And never think the younger ones are not going to teach. Man, they have a lot to teach us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because of that, is it a fair thing for me to say that we are lacking?
Who is the we? Which generation are we talking about?
Not the generation, just the state of leadership.
Yes,
we're lacking in the state of leadership. Government, family, corporate.
Yes.
All right.
Because we are only looking at ourselves. We haven't really learned how to bow down to the younger. I mean, any culture you look at, what are we told? You always need to respect your older, aren't we?
Yeah.
Asians are taught that, Africans are taught that, everyone is. But fine, can you teach them to respect? Can you earn the respect from them? And that's only by incorporating them into every position where you are. Shadow, teach them, and let them grow. Don't just push them down.
What do you think the reason is that, and it's not a generational war, guys. But what do you think the reason is that we have, in some cases, older people not necessarily presenting in a way that is inclusive, collaborative, and it's almost like, I don't know, are we in a war and this is a military and it's your way or the highway and nothing else can... Like, what do you actually think is the fundamental reason? And what would you recommend someone who's in a younger generation to try and bridge the gap to maybe change someone's mind so that it becomes collaborative? Or should they just leave?
I think leaving is not really the solution, isn't it? So it's for the older generation to be open to the younger generation. The younger generation does not have a problem in learning the ways of the older generation. They don't really despise, they don't fear. They actually don't fear anything. The older generation really does fear. They have the fear of changing, of unlearning, and that's a very big concept, very good concept. It is the most difficult thing to unlearn, and that's the problem with the older generation. If they can know how to unlearn, then they can really receive the younger generation with open arms.
So do you think that concept of older generation unlearning, is that... So Gen Zs are going to be the older generation at some point.
Absolutely.
So do you feel like that's almost like a rite of passage? Like you get to a certain age, it's like, I can't unlearn, or is it, or what you're seeing based off your vast experience in dealing with so many different people, is it specific to a specific generation? Or is it just like because of our culture of respecting, now I'm old. Now you must respect me because now I'm old and I'm not gonna
I think it's not even the age.
Okay.
Let's look at, let's give an example of some of the public universities, right? What happens? Your teacher is an older generation. You're now calling him or her professor. What's the demeanor? How do they behave with you? When did they start learning? They were maybe among the first of the lot who probably got a scholarship and went to the university. When they came back, what did they come with? I'm entitled. If only they had said, I am now here to serve, they would not need to unlearn. Isn't it? They still want to continue teaching with Blackboard. Yes, for them, multimedia is no, we don't need it. If I don't write, you will not understand. Copy the book entirely in your exercise book to date. Because by writing is how you can remember. I mean, those are the kind of things I'm saying unlearn. It's not really a specific generation. It's not the age group. It's the culture.
Okay.
It's a mindset. So if their mindset can say, let me unlearn and be receptive, then yeah, there's no generational gap.
So do you feel like our culture is hurting us more than helping us? When I say our culture, I mean African culture.
Yeah, so you see, there is no clear-cut yes or no about it. There are very many beauties about African culture, but there's some that we are specifically talking about today, and we are saying, yes, that is hurting. So simply by saying, I learned this and I know I am right, although ChatGPT can tell me you're not, but you don't want to hear that. So yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, I think that's really good to know, because one of the key things that I've really taken away from you is, pause and reflect.
Oh, yes.
Because I think that if you pause and reflect, regardless of what age you are, regardless of what position you are, you can also see where you're
going wrong.
Yeah,
where you need to learn.
Where you need to learn or unlearn.
Unlearn.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, you try when you go home. Try and tell yourself, these are the things I have learned from when I was young. How can I unlearn? It's the most difficult thing.
It is. And I think it takes time. Like, one of the things that I like to say is be patient with anybody when it comes to change, because someone has learned something over years.
Absolutely.
So the next day, even if you go, that hurt me, it doesn't mean that they're not going to do it a week later, because they have to change the way that they were moving.
It has to be intentional. And it will start with acknowledging to change. If you acknowledge that I'm ready to change, that's when you'll start.
Yeah. Alrighty. So I want to close up with just one more question. What advice would you give to young leaders or entrepreneurs looking to find themselves as thought leaders in their fields?
Okay. So I think my advice would be, number one, just what we were talking about, be open to change. Have a growth mindset. Wherever you are today, if you know tomorrow is going to be different for you and you really want to be there, then make it happen. Self-reflect. Try and see how you can be on that journey, and surely you'll be able to reach the destination.
Awesome.
Don't be scared. It's possible. It's attainable.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Could you please tell us where we can get your book? We're obviously going to put it in the link, but maybe you can talk to the camera directly. Yeah,
absolutely. Thank you. First, let me thank you. Thank you so much. As far as the books are concerned, yes, they are on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle. Local in Kenyan stores, you can find it at Nuria Online, Textbook Center, Educate Yourself, and quite a few other bookshops, including University of Nairobi bookstore these days.
Awesome.
So, yes. And of course, go to my website and you'll find all the links there.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dr. Anu.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nono Bukiti and I'm the Chief Ambassador of Transformation Leader. Today, you joined us on a T4L Book Club with none other than Dr. Anu. I hope you enjoy and get her book soon. Ciao.
Thank you.
This podcast is brought to you by Transformation Leader. You can follow us at www.t4leader.com.